Posted by you, Big Daddy 7245. AITA for telling my son that he needs to stop acting weird to not get bullied in school. My son is 14 and is a textbook example of edgelord. He's into wolves. He talks about wolves and werewolves non-stop at the dinner table and most of us are sick of it. I lost count of the weird stuff he says and does in public, like jump up and down and clap at Walmart, which freaked my wife, his mom, and his two sisters because there were people recording us and recording his sudden mental breakdown at a game that we paid for and had to leave because he made a scene. He is extremely loud in conversations, and I have to tell him to tone it down. He gets bullied at school. A lot. We can only fight with the school to stay on top of this for so long. They are not doing anything about it and wife gave up. We get calls from his teachers very frequently about other odd behaviors, including whispering to himself, which he does a lot at home, howling and using his mom's fur scarf and wrapped it around his waist so it looks like a tail. We are in the process of trying to get him evaluated at the advice of his teachers. I don't know of any mental health conditions that make him act like this. He's about to enter high school and for the past couple of years, he has switched schools at least twice. We had to break lease a couple of times and move somewhere else when the bullying got really bad. He is going to start school in an expensive private school. We are paying out of pocket upwards for $2,000 a year for him, so he gets into a safe environment in hopes he won't get bullied. My wife thinks that children in private schools are better behaved, but I'm not convinced. My son throws a fit every time we have to switch schools. I told him that we have to change schools so many times due to his bullying, and if he gets bullied in every school he goes to, then he needs to look at himself and stop doing whatever it is that's making him a target. I told him no more of that clapping and jumping up and down at Walmart. No more of that talking about wolves, or muttering to himself, or dressing up like a furry. And no more of that nonsense of him not showering and smelling like a landfill in public. Watch what the other kids are doing at school and learn how they act, and maybe he will get friends in school. I told him all of that and everything he did wrong, and he shut down. We've been trying to help him and protect him and get him away from all the bullying, but it has happened so much and at some point, we have to hold him accountable, and I told him that I will hold him accountable because we are paying for his school, and we are not going to have these issues again. My son shut down and locked himself in his room and never spoke to us since the conversation, and the wife thinks I was being a dick to him when I told him it's past time. We tell him to get his act together, so he doesn't become a target for bullying, especially when he is entering high school next year and we are paying a lot of money for that school. AITA? Now on to the next story. Posted by you, Adept Blacksmith 5270. AITA for saying he trapped me under false promises in front of his parents? I wanted kids. My husband said he did too and wanted to wait till we were married. We got married 8 months ago and he changed his mind and doesn't want kids at all. Later admitting when he was drunk that he never wanted kids and that he was hoping he would change his mind for my sake after we got married, but decided it's 100% not for him and scheduled a vasectomy. He got it last month. Kids was not a deal breaker for me under any circumstances. I love my husband, and if we don't have kids, well, I will live with it. He has been great to me, and we have a seemingly perfect fairy tale life. So yes, it does hurt me sometimes that kids will not be an option, but again, it's not a deal breaker and it doesn't keep me up at night usually. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews I can spoil rotten. But the way that I combat the hurt that I sometimes feel, I joke about it. Dark humor. My husband knows this and jokes with me about it. Well, we went to his family's home for a bit dinner and my Sil announces she is pregnant. Mill ends up asking us when we will give her grandbabies because she isn't getting any younger, her, not me. So, I did what I always do and pushed through with dark humor because I was already feeling a little gloomy and I say envious of my Sil being with child. So, I start laughing and said, oh well, this one doesn't want babies. So he trapped me under false promises, and start nudging him saying, huh, which is what we do at home. I don't know why this is a thing. We did it once and just never stopped. My husband just goes silent. My Sil, Phil and Bill laugh. My Mill wasn't even mad. She just turned to my Sil and said, that's okay cause we still have one bundle to snuggle. Super understanding family. Zero judgment. I mean, great people. But my husband was just dead silent the rest of the dinner and later said I was wrong for saying anything to his family about him changing his mind and said that it wasn't something they needed to know. He said I should have just said I didn't know and let the conversation drop instead of calling him out in front of his parents. AITA? Now on to the next story. Posted by you, Flirzelnot. WIBTA. If I finally confronted my sister for outing me to everyone 7 years ago when I was 16? For context, 7 years ago, I was going through a tough time due to severe untreated anxiety and depression. I had realized I was gay about 2 years before that. Me and my older sister, 28 now, were really close at that time due to us seeing the blatant favoritism towards my younger sister, 19 now, my dad always showed. We were talking one day, and I thought that maybe it was time to tell someone to get it off my chest. I had trusted her because we were telling each other everything. She said while she didn't support it, she accepted me. I felt disappointed but better. I asked her not to tell anyone else because I wasn't ready, and she said okay, and that was the end of the conversation because I had to get ready for something. About 15 minutes later I had just gotten out of the shower, and I see my mom and sister sitting on my bed. My sister had a smirk on her face, so I kind of knew what had happened already and my heart sunk. Long story short there, Mom was not accepting really, got the whole, "it's probably a phase," speech and was told I needed to try and be with women for her sake because it was hard for her. I just said okay, I have still not been with a woman and don't plan to, and asked them both not to tell my dad. That same night I get home and find my dad on my bed. Same situation, same speech. I agreed to everything he said again with no intent to actually follow through, and said please don't tell anyone else. Well, next day I found out my little sister had been crying. My mother told me it was because she thought I was going to hell because the three of them took it upon themselves to tell this 12-year-old I was gay and that she should pray for me. 2 days after that I found out she had also told her boyfriend, now husband, and that he said he didn't and couldn't accept me even though he felt like I was his younger brother. This obviously took a toll on my mental health. I clearly had no support, and they were trying to turn my younger sister against me too. Now on to the question. Would I be the asshole to finally confront my older sister about outing me to everyone? I wouldn't be cruel about it. I don't plan to yell at her. Just tell her how I feel and how much harm she could have done and get the closure I feel I need. Now on to the last story. Posted by you, th3_c4rguy. AITA. For yelling at my girlfriend? Before anyone thinks I'm an abusive boyfriend, I'm not. I have never hurt her in any way, nor will I ever hurt her. Anyways, AITA. For yelling at her? I was sitting at my PC about an hour after waking up because I had coding and 3D modeling to do for a friend and he was paying me $100 for it. After about 30 minutes in, I test to see if the coding is all God. It's not. There was a mess up somewhere and I spent a good 20 minutes trying to figure it out. I don't know how many of you code, but one fuck up and it's over. So as I'm sitting in my chair, she comes in and tried to sit in my lap. I gently nudge her, telling her, "I can't right now, babe. I'm busy." She then hugs me from behind. A few seconds later she comes to sit in my lap again. I said, "Babe, stop, I really need to get what's wrong here right now." But then she spins the chair around and tries sitting in my lap again. I get mad and yell at her. "I already said stop 2 times, so knock it off." She had this sad look on her face. I've never really yelled at her for any reason unless it's playful. Even then it's just slightly raising my voice. But here I yelled at her because I was filled with stress, and her bothering me could have been an overreaction out of me. I know I could have taken her in my lap while trying to figure out the problem. I just didn't think about that at that time. Again, I only yelled at her because I needed to think, and she kind of distracted me by spinning my chair. She leaves the room and goes into the living room. I feel instant regret at this point. I go over to her to hug her and comfort her for yelling at her because now she's really upset. I try to hug her and cuddle with her, but she pushes me away. I said, "I'm sorry," and went back to my room and laid in bed. It's been 15 minutes now and she's not moved from her spot. She might have fallen asleep, so I don't want to nudge her to wake her up. Am I the asshole?